Hello. Welcome back to the Nashville Soundscape Archive. Today I'm here with Rachel Rodriguez. Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. And before we start with, my typical barrage of questions, just tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do in Nashville? What's your day-to-day? Just talk us through that.
Okay, well, my name is Rachel Rodriguez, and I've been in Nashville for about 26 years. I am an artist. I'm a singer, a songwriter, now an author as well. Recently, I just released a new children's book. I'm also a mom and a wife. Really involved in my community. I'm a teaching artist, and I do mentoring programs, and as well as performance coaching.
Wow, so you're busy.
I'm very busy. I do a lot of things, yeah, I do.
So my first question is, you grew up immersed in traditional Mariachi and Tejano music alongside country and eventually brought that foundation to a city globally traded by a very specific commercialized sound. When you blend your Latino heritage with rock and country on a Nashville stage, do you approach that fusion as a natural act of sonic integration or a deliberate disruption of the city's expected soundscape?
Oh, you have good questions.
Thank you,
Very
thank
well
you.
thought out questions. You know what? I have to say it might be a little bit of both. It started as a very natural progression, and as I've discovered my sound and it evolved, then I more intentionally was like, ooh, that's my sound. So being more intentional about that moving forward once it kind of fell into place. But it was a very natural, I grew up, yes, with traditional Tejano music and mariachi music and country music, but I also grew up in the years of like Motley Crue and loving Led Zeppelin. And I'm a writer, so I love singer-songwriters as well, like Joni Mitchell and Stevie Nicks and all these fantastic songwriters. But music is a universal language, and I feel very blessed that I was brought up in a household with so much music, and it was very accessible and all different genres. And so as I grew and developed my own voice and trying to find my space in Nashville, in a place that's very traditional country, which is why I moved here, and it's also a songwriter's town. And I really wanted to hone my skills as a songwriter, and people from all over the world come to Nashville just to do that. It's a very, very special place. And so I feel very blessed that I get to make music with incredible people. But it wasn't always easy. You definitely have to make your own space, thank you, and find your own way in a city with so much talent.
Was Nashville very receptive of Latin music when you first got here?
It depends. It depends. I think it was very new, and I think there were a handful of us that were doing that. But I didn't come here to do Latin music, so it's very interesting. Although I think because I wanted to do traditional country music is what I came here for, but people would automatically see my face and hear my last name, which is Rodriguez, and just assume, oh, you must sing in
You
Spanish.
brand you as that? They just assume?
They just assume, well, you must do mariachi music or you must do salsa music. I'm like, I can do those things, but actually I'm a singer-songwriter and I do country music. But eventually I started incorporating more Latin-influenced music into my sets. I guess because people did expect that, and then, but I also wanted to embrace that, and I also, because there wasn't a lot of us here, I felt a responsibility to represent my culture in non-traditional Hispanic spaces, and to bridge. I try to use music to bridge those two cultures together, the American culture and then my Hispanic culture together, and I think, like we had said before, music is its own language, and I like to use that as a tool to bring people together.
I love that, using music as a bridge. I just feel like it's such a powerful tool that we're able to use. And of course there's discrimination and people fight, but at the end of the day, it's what brings us together.
It is. It is. And sometimes, it's funny that you say that. I just recently had an incident. Unfortunately, sometimes the more things change, sometimes the more things stay the same. I recently played in a venue that apparently there were a few patrons there that were not happy that I was singing in Spanish.
Oh.
And when I received the phone call from the person that booked me and the owner of the venue, who profusely apologized, and they were like, I am so sorry that somebody made that comment, because I thought that was the most beautiful part of the night. It was like a songwriters round, and a lot of the music I write is bilingual. It hurt for a moment, it stung, but it also kind of lit another new fire inside of me, that there's still a lot of work to do, and that I can use my music again to build a bridge. And I'm not for everybody, and everybody's not for me. That's why there's so many different genres of music and so many different artists, so you can find your people and find your fans and build your fan base. It's hard because you want everybody to like you. I don't think that ever goes away. We all want to be liked and loved and seen and appreciated for the art that we create. And so that did sting a little bit, even as an adult who's been doing this for a very, very long time. But that's okay. That's okay.
It's part of it.
It's part of it. It's part of growing, and it's part of my mission to, again, using music as a bridge. And so there was one or two people that didn't like it. The rest of the people in there thought it was fantastic, and they had never heard traditional mariachi music live, and I brought that to them in a rural space where they would not have access to that music or to that culture. So, but it's always, unfortunately, it's like one, bad apple kind of ruined the experience for me, but it's okay. I did, like I said, I'm like, there's still a lot of work to do, and I will go out there and do the best I can to represent my culture.
In ethnomusicology, language is never just lyrical. It actively dictates rhythm, phrasing, and cultural memory. Through Songs for My Little Amigos, you introduce bilingual music and movement into early childhood spaces. From a structural standpoint, how does embedding the Spanish language into foundational music education alter how these children physically and socially navigate the Middle Tennessee community?
Wow. Initially, that whole process was so organic. That whole program literally came from me becoming a first-time mother with my daughter Sophia. She's actually on the cover of that CD, little caricature of I call her Sofia Tortilla. And I started writing little songs every single day about eating breakfast and using your manners and learning the days of the week in English and in Spanish. That's where that came from. And eventually somebody overheard me singing these at my house and was wondering where could they get this music. And I said, nothing, you can't. I just make a new one up every day. And that inspired me. They're like, you should record this. How many songs do you have? That brought on the idea of creating this. And I went in the studio and I created this and then built a program around it. As my children, I saw that they were singing and learning their culture, learning Spanish. I'm like, well, gosh, if this works for them, then this could be something other families could use if they want to introduce a new language that's very, very simple, and phrases that are so easy that we say every day to each other. Good morning, how are you? Good evening. My name is, the days of the week. Little phrases that are easy to learn and to repeat and say. And so I created a bilingual children's program around that album. And then I just started doing libraries and seeing how the kids just easily would pick up these phrases. I mean, little kids, their minds are sponges.
Yeah.
And they don't know the best time to introduce language is at an early age. They don't even realize that it's a separate language than their own. So that I think I know some people think, well, isn't it confusing to be teaching English and Spanish at the same time. No, that's just everyday life for these kids, or whatever language it might be. Same thing with instruments and singing and dancing and all of those things. I think the sooner that you're able to introduce these things, they just gravitate to them, they learn quickly, and you're introducing them, you're expanding their world culturally through books and literacy, and taking them on adventures through music and rhythms and colors and books and all kinds of things. So I love that I'm able to use all of those tools in my children's program.
It's amazing. So my next question is, your work has brought you into institutions such as the Country Music Hall of Fame and museums, as well as schools, libraries, and arts organizations throughout the region. How do you work within these established institutions while also encouraging them to represent Mexican, American, and broader Latino musical histories as permanent parts of Nashville's story rather than occasional diversity programming?
You know, I approach it as it's just my program. Here it is. And so again, I don't try to overthink things. I want to provide a quality program musically and culturally that just happens to incorporate what I know best, which is my culture and my family, the music I grew up listening to as a family that I want to share with the community. It comes from an authentic place of love and sharing and community, and I want it to be very quality. Especially quality is so important when I am working with these world-renowned arts institutions. And so I want to make sure that I am providing the best representation I can of my community. And I think that it ultimately is what I hope that my music does and my programming does. I want to represent the beautiful side of my culture and my heritage, and music is a big part of that.
You have honed your skills in a massive variety of physical spaces, from rowdy honky-tonks and community festivals to formal educational spaces. How does the physical architecture and the ingrained behavioral expectation of a traditional Nashville honky-tonk shape the way your culturally blended sound is consumed? How is it compared to a more community-focused environment?
You learn how to connect with people, and all kinds of different people, whether it's a tourist, whether it's a teacher or a parent or a child. I think the more places and the more people you speak to, the different spaces that you're in, they're all great learning experiences, and ultimately we want our art to connect with people. And so you have to be able to connect with all kinds of different people and all kinds of different walks of life, from a tourist that comes from Texas or Massachusetts to somebody who might be coming from Mexico or from Europe or anything like that. So I think playing at all of these different places just really honed my skills of how to connect and communicate with all different kinds of people.
It teaches you you meet so many different types of people, and you have to learn different ways, because you can't use that same way to teach people and show these people the Latin side of music. So that's just so powerful for you, that you're in all these different places and you're able to meet all these different people. And it's a skill, right?
It
that
is.
You hone.
It is. And you just do it. It's repetition. It's over and over. And it's going outside of your comfort zone as well. Going to different places and going outside of where I would normally maybe perform, and bringing that tradition, that music, that sound into spaces that might not normally have that kind of music. And it is uncomfortable, but that's also growth. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, or you find out different ways that work better in different situations, in different locations, with different people. It's the same thing when I'm doing a talk or a presentation for adults versus my approach with pre-K students. It's a whole different approach,
Different thing,
and a
yeah.
whole different audience, and they receive the information different. But my hope is to engage with all of them.
You touched on this a little bit earlier, but how do you turn Latin music from like a disruption into something that should be celebrated, and that it's more of a celebration than a weapon that Latin American musicians are using right now? How do you
Yeah.
turn it in? How do you turn one thing into another?
I think you do it from a place of community. You do it from an authentic place of, it's just a part of you that you want to share. Whether I was a rock artist or a singer-songwriter or a country artist, I'm going to present it in the same way. This is the music that I do. This is the music I create and write. And you just approach it that way. You don't ask for permission. You just do it.
And in your experiences, do audiences and event managers, are they able to, can they feel that authenticity? Is it something that naturally comes for someone who works in the music industry?
I think so. I think just like when you meet people, I think you can see past whether they're doing it for attention, whether they're doing it to be popular, to be seen in a certain scene, or playing at a certain club, or are they just there to share their music and connect with people? I think I've done my own switching over the years. I think before I became a mother, I think all musicians, we have a little bit of ego. We have to, because we have to promote ourselves, and nobody's going to work harder for ourselves or promote our music more than we are. So we all have a little bit of ego. Look at me, listen to what I can do. Once I became a mother, I started losing a little bit of that, which is good, which is really good. I think that you shed this shell of yourself and you become more vulnerable. And I think that when you can be yourself and completely be raw and vulnerable with an audience, that's where the connection is made.
The connection.
And I've adapted this mantra of mine, because we mess up. We're humans. We don't have, and I try to tell my daughter this as well, and I'll pass it on to you as a musician too. Of course, we want to have a perfect performance, but you can play every single note perfect and not connect with an audience. I have done performances where I was sick and I had to drop the notes. I had to drop, the keys or the chords of my songs because I lost the high part of my range. And we would extend solos, and I was like, you're going to do a solo and you're going to extend a solo. And I ended up booking more gigs out of that, or having more people put money in my tip jar. I'm like, what? But I didn't even sing my big belting rock songs or my big soulful songs. I didn't even do my best songs because I couldn't vocally do it. It didn't matter. It was about a connection, or it was about the song selection, or it was that I was just present. You can't fake that. So now I've taken on, like I said, the mantra of it's about connection and not perfection.
Connection instead of perfection. It's powerful.
You can connect to every note you play, or it's not even, yes, it is connecting with the audience, but it's also connecting with the people you're on stage with. People can feel when there's great energy between the musicians on stage. I love playing live music. I call them they're my brothers. I've been playing music with them for 20 years. We cut up and we joke around, and we just have a great time together, and the audience can feel that. So if we're having this great energy on stage, it then pours over into the audience, and then they become a part of that as well. So it becomes this experience that we're all having, this musical creative experience that we're all having in the same room together.
All together.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, it sounds so obvious that, communities and making music with people is all about connection together, but I really feel like, I guess the world's just lacking in that a little bit, especially with more commercialized music, where you just don't feel that same kind of soul.
Yeah, it's different, and I think too, as more people are creating music at home alone versus live with the band in a studio, and there's pros and cons to that, because you can get a lot done on your own. I'm still very old school. I'm recording, finishing a project right now, and I wanted everybody to record. We all did live together, which was fantastic because I'm a live singer. I love singing live with a band, and that's what I was trying to capture. Now, of course, and then I did overdubs and got, final vocals on it, but I think in order to inspire the band too, for them to be playing live with me as we're all singing like we would at a gig. And like I said, I recorded this album with people I've been playing music with for 20 years. We know each other very well, and I wanted to create that same energy that we have on stage together because it's magic.
I touched on this a little bit before, but the Nashville music industry right now is built on hyper-commercialization. You've previously spoken about redefining success simply as the ability to create and perform your art every single day.
Yeah.
By stepping outside the pursuit of instant fame, how does maintaining an independent, community-focused career allow you to protect the authenticity of your cultural roots from being commodified?
Ooh, boy, you got great questions, Jayden. These
Thank
are
you,
so
thank
well
you.
thought out. Again, I think you have to know what is your purpose? What is your mission? What do you want to accomplish with your music? Is it commercial? Is it fame? We want to be successful. We want people to like our music. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to be appreciated for the art we create. But there also has to come a part of yourself where you're like, I'm creating quality. This is to my best ability. This is a great representation of my art. Just for your character, because that's what you do. That's the gift you were given, and hopefully people will be drawn to it. But I think if you do something from an authentic place and connect yourself to organizations or events or musicians that have that same vibration or are in alignment with your same way of thinking, you will be okay. You don't have to worry about falling into that commercial. And I think that just comes with experience and time and getting out of your comfort zone and experiencing different levels of performance in different venues with different musicians. And then you will find the people that get you, that are on the same path as you are. You will find gigs and venues and other writers and other musicians. You just have to put yourself out there, and you have to just do it over and over and over.
And it's uncomfortable, right, initially?
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable. And you also, I know when I think this might have been, I was approached by some friends that wanted me to sing in their Latin jazz band. I'm not a jazz singer. I sing a lot of different genres, but I'm not a jazz singer. And I told them, like, y'all, I'm not a jazz singer. They're like, no, but you can sing in Spanish. You do, Rachel, and we will do the jazz around you. I'm like, okay. And I went home and I studied, and I just wanted to make sure I was prepared because these are all stellar musicians. But they saw something in me that I didn't even see, and they had more confidence in me than I had in myself. I'm like, well, they invited me, so I'm going to show up as best prepared as I can and do the best that I can. And I met so many amazing musicians that I still work with today. Had I let my fear and my uncomfortableness tell me, you know what, I don't do jazz, I don't do it, sorry
That's
guys,
not
thanks
you.
for the invitation, but I don't think I can do it. I would have missed out on some fantastic musicians and relationships that I still have today. So you have to step outside yourself and trust that people know what you do, people know who you are, and if they're coming to you and asking you to be a part of a project or perform on a show or to go into the studio, I was like, say yes and figure it out later. But you will rise to the occasion, and when you surround yourself with people that are better than you, that's who you learn from, and you will rise to the occasion because they've invited you to the table because they believe in you or they see something in you that you might not have seen yet, but it's there.
It's so powerful. Much of the music you encountered through your family was performed in social settings where music, movement, celebration, and community were closely connected. When you perform your original music in Nashville venues engineered primarily for standard, more so passive consumer audiences. How do you actively break down those spatial barriers to create that traditional sense of communal intimacy?
Yeah, that can be difficult, like you said, in certain spaces where you're the background music.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's hard. That is hard. And that's okay. I think, again, that's great practice for me because I am a mom and I'm a very busy mom. And so I don't get to practice a lot at home. There's no quiet practice room for Mama Rachel to just sit with her auto harp and practice singing. So I have to book gigs. For me, that is my practice. So, of course I want people to pay attention, and I understand that they're there to celebrate an anniversary or a girls' night out or a mom's night out or whatever. And I'm happy to provide entertainment for those special events. Sometimes, but like I said, we get our egos and like, they're not even listening to me. So sometimes I've had those moments, and other times I'm like, you know what? I'm getting paid to practice right now because I don't have the luxury of doing that at home. So I think every experience has a positive impact. I think it's how you look at it. Now there are venues, and I love when I book certain venues where people come specifically to hear you, to see you, and it's this big living room experience. We're having a dialogue. Those are the gigs I absolutely love, where they came specifically to see your show. And so for those, I really want to be prepared. I really want the show to flow. And that's where a lot of the connection happens. But I think you have to have both. I think as an artist, I think that doing those things keeps you humble. It helps you hone those skills. And if you can captivate an audience that is a passive audience, or you can get some people that, are tipping you or buying your CD or emailing you afterwards or following you on socials, if you can captivate that audience, and you're making that connection. You're making, even if it's just one person. If it's just one person, to me, going viral, yes, now the thing, like, everybody wants to go viral. Okay, great. Yeah, that I'm an old school artist. It was brought up one person at a time, one connection at a time, one in-person connection, conversation, performance. I'm going to try to win fans over one performance at a time in person. But that's just the way that I was raised. And like I said, I'm old school that way, and I love performing live. So again, it all comes back to connection. And even if you can make one connection, then I've done my job.
It's all worth it for one person.
It is. I mean, I've done gigs, like you said, like at a restaurant that's kind of like passive. I'm kind of background music. And I went on a break because you never know. You don't know who's in the room. You don't know everybody's story. And this was really special because I sang a very traditional song called Sabor a mí. It's a classic traditional bolero. And I sang the song, took my first break, went to the restroom, and then when I was at the bar getting some water, this gentleman came over with tears in his eyes. He had lost his mother 6 months before that. And that song, Sabor a mí, was his mom's favorite song.
Oh, wow.
I made that one connection, and it was a special connection through a song. I've been singing forever. People were not everybody was listening, but he was, and it impacted he was visiting. I don't remember where he was visiting from, but I made that connection with a traditional Spanish song and a non-traditional. It was a space that they don't do Latin music in that space, and so, but it came from a place of authenticity and just wanting to share, again, my culture through music. And in that, I did make a connection with somebody, and that's what we hope to do with our art.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to look at it. Just changing one person's life through our music, it makes it all worth it. All these struggles, these challenges,
Yeah.
discomfort.
Yeah.
Wow. So my final question is, traditional music within a diaspora is often unfairly expected by outsiders to remain a static artifact of that homeland. As a first-generation artist actively evolving your sound, how do you balance that pressure to strictly preserve the historical roots of your music against the artistic agency to document the modern lived experience of the Latino community in the American South? How do you balance that contrast? How do you figure out what you want to do?
I think, again, I think you just have to do what comes naturally. I don't think you can't force things. I think it has to be real. It has to come from this place of home. And I just, when I'm putting together a set list or putting together a show, I mean, at this point in my life, I want to perform music that means something to me. If I can connect to this music and sing it from the heart, it will connect with people. You can go up and down Broadway and they're playing this, every bar is playing the same songs, because that's what people might want to hear.
That's what sells.
And that's what sells. And the musicians are kind of like, whatever, I've been playing. There's no connection. People are partying and they're drinking beer and they're doing their thing, and that's fine. I can't, because this is a popular song on the radio. If it doesn't speak to me, I'm not going to sing it just because it's popular. It's because I can't do it justice. It's not coming from a place that I'm feeling it. So, you know, I would prefer to play my own original songs, and then some places I have to mix them all in. And so I'll do an original song, then I'll do a Spanish song, and then I'll do a cover, but I will put my own spin on a cover. And because I love Latin rhythms and groove, I always have a percussionist in my lineup. Whether I'm singing a rock and roll song or a country song or a traditional Spanish song, you're gonna get, you know, I can play a Rolling Stone song with percussion, just because that's that vibe and that's putting my stamp or my flavor on contemporary music. But I think it all comes with time. I think the more you do it, the more you figure out what drives you, the more you figure out your own sound and the artist or the musician that you want to be. So that's hard because you got to turn the noise off and you have to look within.
Yeah. So it's all about authenticity. You don't think it matters? Of course, fame matters. You want your name out there. But at the end of the day, you are happy with the music you make if it's authentic and it comes from the heart. And that's really what connection is with music, right?
Yeah.
And
there's so many different avenues, right, to success. Of course, going viral or having a #1 hit or getting a Grammy or having somebody cut your song. We all want that. I'm not saying that that's not important and that's not successful. It is. However, that happens to a very small few. Right? And just because it doesn't happen for you does not mean that you're not talented or gifted or have anything to say. So I think you have to find what is success for you. I have been able to create a career where I can send my daughter to Europe to fulfill her dreams of traveling and playing music. I am able to work in my community. I'm able to record my own music that I want to. As an independent artist, we do have to wear a lot of different hats. But for me, and I get to create every single day. Whether I'm in the studio, whether I'm on stage, whether it's with the kids, whether it's doing a story time, whether it's singing a jingle, whether it's being background music for at a restaurant. I create every day. I am able to provide for my family. I'm able to work for myself and make my own schedule. So I consider that a successful career. And I'm home with my family. I can take my kids to school. I can pick them up and go to their theater performances and drop them off at camp. So I can be present as a parent, and I can still be creating, and I'm still providing for my family. Everything else is like icing on the cake.
Thank you so much, Rachel Rodriguez, for your story and your time and your words and just talking us through all this, because you have to live this kind of stuff. Like, one thing is talking about it, right? And another is living it.
Correct.
Right? And so, yeah, just thank you for sharing, and I hope that whoever sees this video is able to learn something about the Latin experience as a musician in Nashville. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.